Hello, welcome back to Lesson 1 of installing MyraDB and Ubuntu Server. Let's go ahead and get right into this. So the first thing we have to do on our list is downloading and install Ubuntu Server. Alright, let me minimize the list out of the way here. So when you go to ubuntu.com up here at the top, and actually, let's go back here because I want to make sure that everybody understands where we're going here. Okay. So when you go to ubuntu.com, you're going to be on their landing page. Click the little pull down by download and click on Get Ubuntu Server. Now on this part here, they have this thing called multipass. I recommend let's just do a manual server install. So select option 2. And we're going to be using download Ubuntu Server 20.04.2. If you look at alternative releases, you'll see they have a newer release out right now. And a lot of people say, hey, I'm just going to grab 20.10 because it's the latest and greatest. Here's the problem with 20.10 as of right now. It includes only 9 months of security and maintenance updates. Okay? Which means it ends July 2021, which is already rapidly approaching. That's why I recommend to download the long-term support. And they'll eventually update this version to 20.10 long-term. But for now, we're going to use this because our servers are going to run and be maintained, and we're not going to have to worry about security updates. So click on Manual Install, as I said, and we're just going to download. Okay. We'll just grab this and we're going to place it in our downloads folder. That would be where I'd recommend it. And click Save. And it's going to take a little bit of time to download, so we're going to pause this video until we have it downloaded, and then we'll go right into the installing it and setting it up. And I'll talk to you more then. Now that we have our Ubuntu 20.04.2 server downloaded, we're going to create a new virtual machine. Again, this is Parallels, but the steps are pretty much the same as if you're using VirtualBox or vSphere or anything else you may be. Not vSphere, VirtualBox or VMware on Windows. So we're going to click New. We're going to install it from an ISO. Okay. We're going to choose it manually. So it says drag the file or select it. I'll go ahead and select it because I know it's in my downloads folder here. Let me slow at the bottom here. Work up. This is what we want here. Live server. Click open. All right. We're going to install the system manually. Okay, so we can make a couple changes. Let's go ahead and click Continue. Ubuntu Linux server. And we're going to make a server 2 because I already have a server 1 on there. 5.26 gigabytes of my disk space will be used and allocated for that. Customize settings before installation. We don't want an alias on the Mac desktop. Now, maybe we'll do that. Okay. So what it's doing here, we can change a couple of these descriptions here. Okay, such as going to options, full screen. No, we don't want to do that. Let's go to hardware. So hardware processors, it's going to use 2 as recommended. Total memory is only 2 megabytes or 2 gigabytes. I'm sorry, 2 gigs. Any advanced settings you might want to use. Hypervisor is Parallels. Look at the network settings. Shared networking is recommended, but we would like to connect this to bridge networking, and we're going to connect it to my Ethernet. What bridge networking allows you to do is obtain an IP address based on your home network. Okay, very simplistic stuff. All right, let's move this over a little bit here. So Ethernet's going to connect to there. It's going to get its own. It's going to use its own MAC address to generate, and it's going to pick up an IP address off our DHCP server. All right, everything else in here would be normal. That's what we want it to be. All right, so close this. We'll go ahead and continue. Just click, oh, cannot access the microphone. That's okay. Click OK on here. All right, see if I can make this box a little bigger. Oh, there we go. So let's go ahead and click our mouse in there to capture the mouse and the keyboard. You hit enter, and we're going to install Ubuntu Server. Okay, so let's enter on that. And it's just going to simply start going through the install process. Again, we set it up with bridge networking. That's very important. A lot of people miss that step. So bridge networking will allow you to have your virtual server pick up an IP address from your DHCP server so we can interact with it. It's very important. Okay, so you'll just go walk through this setup here. All right, so again it says, let's see, the language we want is English. Unless you live in another country, select your language. The layout, that's fine. Click next. You can see there we're picked up an IP address 1.51. Click done. We have no proxy address on this network. Click next. Mirror address. This is for any updates or anything for the Ubuntu server. So click OK. Or done. Let's go down here. I can just tab down. Hit done. And this is the volume that we're going to use. Again, it's just a virtual disk on this particular server or on this computer. Go down and hit continue. Now you're going to put in your name. Okay, my name is Jack. My server name, make sure it's, we always use lowercase for this. Ubuntu Server 2. Pick a username. I'm just going to use my first name again. And a super secret password. Okay. And then we'll go down to done. Make sure you write your super secret password down. I have so many people when I'm teaching these lessons that don't remember their password, or they don't remember they hit a capital letter. So just keep it all lowercase. Keep it very simplistic. Hit done. Hit your space bar to check open, install open SSH server. That's very important. We'll be using that later on to manage our server, because I tell my students, you're not going to be sitting in your server rack all the time, plugged into your server with a monitor and a keyboard. So you want a way to get in to interact with it. SSH is our best option. We no longer want to use Telnet. It's very insecure. Hit next. Just going to tab down here to done. I'm not going to load any additional items. Hit done. And there we go. That's all there is to it. Now we're installing Ubuntu Server onto a virtual machine. But if you're using this and you're setting this up, we've been using in class now VMware's vSphere server. And we put that on an actual hardware server base. And we now have, right now, I think we have 16 class members with servers running on there, Ubuntu servers. And they interact with it daily. And we do a lot of projects with that. So that's what got me to thinking, to lead to believe that there has to be people like you on YouTube that are looking for help. They're looking for ways to figure out how to do this stuff and set this up properly. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of Linux. You know, Linux, especially in the back end, is major. And I'm using it more and more on the front end. I'm using more desktop Linux than I ever have before. I've always been a Mac guy. I've said Windows, Microsoft has made me a very good living over my lifetime. But I do like Linux on the back-end servers. The biggest part of that is because it's very lightweight and it's very stable. Not that Windows Server is anything bad with it. I still run a lot of Windows servers out there. I do a lot of consulting work on servers. And, you know, there's a mainstay in business where they'll have one server, and it's Windows. It's a Windows-based server. So, okay, so this part where it says updating and security updates, I'm going to tab down and go to cancel and reboot. Okay. I don't want to run the updates right now because it takes a long time to do it on here. We will do that later. That's another video. I show you how to update and upgrade your Linux-based server. So we're just going to do that. And we're going to let it cancel that update and reboot at this point. Hope you can see this window okay in the video. I'm hoping it comes out okay for you to get the idea of just walking through those steps. Done, 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 done. Make sure you hit the space bar for Open SSH Server. You definitely want that on your server. At this point, it should tell us to, let's see here. Yeah, it wants us to remove the cd-rom drive. So at that point, I will simply go up and I will, let's see here. Yep, disconnect. And we should be able to reboot. You can see our server, it looks like it's acting the way it should be acting here. Now, all the services are starting up. Everything looks like it's moving along there pretty well. And you come to your logon page. This final step, a lot of my students go, oh no, this is crazy. What's it doing? It's just finishing up with the SSH key, right? Pairing the key up so you can use SSH. If we hit enter, you'll see login. Log in with your username and your super secret password. There you go. We have a Ubuntu server set up, fully operational and fully running. Not ready to do much right now. It's just kind of sitting there, taking up some energy in your server rack. If I type clear, so you can clear that out. And if you type exit, that's all you need to do to log out. It'll log you right back out of your Ubuntu server. So again, don't be afraid of Ubuntu server. I'm going to show you the steps you need to know through this video series. So I will let you go on this video. And let me bring back up my notes. Let me bring this back up here. So downloading an Ubuntu server, we are going to check mark that. Check. The next thing we have to do is update and upgrade our server. So I'll see you back here very soon for that video. Just click the next one and just keep going through the playlist. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you back here very soon.